Hello to you, our viewers. Welcome to this edition of the news here on Rwanda Television with me, Serish Nohore. We'll begin with the headlines as always. President Paul Kagame has congratulated Donald Trump on his victory in the just concluded US presidential elections. ALA members gathered in Kampala, Uganda, have supported the creation of an investment bank that would empower citizens within the EAC to improve their livelihoods. And on the international scene, with Donald Trump returning to the White House for a second non-consecutive term in office as the President of the United States, many have been looking at how his past policies and current positions offer an insight into his upcoming presidency. Now the details. President Paul Kagame has congratulated Donald Trump on his victory in the just concluded US presidential elections. He posted his message on X saying, and I quote, "President-elect Donald Trump, I warmly congratulate you on behalf of the government and people of Rwanda for your historic and decisive election as the 47th President of the United States. Your clear message has been that the United States should be a partner of choice that attracts by force of its example rather than imposing its views and ways of life on others. I therefore look forward to working with you for the common benefit of both our countries in the years ahead." End of quote. Now, moving on to other matters. Over the past 5 years, more than 1,800 refugees and asylum seekers hosted by Rwanda from Libya have successfully been resettled into third countries, while the remaining individuals have expressed satisfaction with their lives here in Rwanda. We have the details with Adam Squizera.
In evening hours at the Kigali International Airport, the 19th group of 119 refugees and asylum seekers who were stranded in Libya arrived back in September 2024. This group was comprised of 5 nationalities: Sudanese, Eritrean, Somali, Ethiopia, and South Sudan. Nyerak Chwelu, of 24 years, is among this group. She affirms that being evacuated from Libya to Rwanda marks a new beginning in her life.
Yeah, when I was coming from Libya, I was really happy because that place is really dangerous. I cannot say anything. We passed through a lot of hardship. To the time we heard that we are going to be taken to be evacuated to this place, we were really happy for that, and we are impressed. We felt like at the end of the day, God has heard our prayers that we are going to be rescued from the hardship that we are passing through within Libya. At least, according to what I have heard, that this place is safe more than that site.
After arriving at Kigali International Airport in Kanombe, are immediately taken to Gashora Refugee Camp Transit Center in Wijese district. Mohammed Al-Tahli, Abdallah and his family have been in the camp for a year. Their journey from Khartoum, Sudan, through the Sahara Desert to Libya remains unforgettable to them as they fled insecurity in their homeland. I fled from Sudan to Libya due to insecurity, seeking a safer space for myself and my family. I traveled from Khartoum, the capital of Sudan, to El Fasher in Darfur, where I then took the Sahara route to Libya. Hunia Mohammed shares a similar story, having spent nearly 9 years away from her home in Eritrea due to insecurity. Reflecting on her journey to Libya is challenging for her to put into words.
I left Eritrea with my siblings and mother due to insecurity, fleeing to Sudan, where we spent 7 years trying to survive. However, life in Sudan was difficult, so we decided to go to Libya. I stayed in Libya for 1 year, but I faced severe hardships. My entire body was injured and I lost all my teeth. Eventually, I was evacuated from Libya to Rwanda.
Before attempting the dangerous sea crossing from Libya, many migrants report facing torture and kidnapping.
Libya is a dangerous place for people to live. especially if you are a Christian also, to add on that. And there's a lot of hardship within it, and people cannot survive, and there are kidnappers, there are a lot of problems in that place. And people cannot survive, and there are kidnappers, there are a lot of problems in that place.
Libya, it is too difficult and complicated. Why for? Because all the Sudanese people in Libya, they are suffering a lot of difficulties. So a lot of people, they are in the prison, and in the prison, as you know, the dealing, it is too bad.
Now, however, they feel a renewed sense of hope since arriving in Rwanda. Both Eritrean Hunia Mohammed and the wife of Sudanese refugee Mohammed Al-Tahir Abdallah knows that their basic needs are met at the Gashua Refugee Transit Center.
جيت من بلدي اللي هو شعب إريتريا يعني بلدي برضو شفته فيه مساء.
They provided me with a house, a bed, a mattress, food, and everything I need. Having lived in different countries, including Eritrea, Sudan, and Libya, I can say that life here is truly good. I have no issues because I have access to medicine and all the basic necessities. I'm grateful to be in Rwanda as I live comfortably and enjoy good life.
الحمد لله ما في شيء كذب يعني.
طلعت برا التعامل ما شاء الله حلو.
Both inside and outside the camp, we are treated well and have good relationships with the Rwandans living here. We experience no security issues and have access to all basic needs. We are able to study, learn ICT and English, and our children also attend school. I can't compare the life I live here in Rwanda with the life I had in Libya.
Alhamdulillah.
The government of Rwanda, the African Union Commission, and the UNHCR in August 2024 sent the second addendum to the Memorandum of Understanding MOU dated 10th September 2019, extending the emergency transit mechanism from Libya to Rwanda. The permanent secretary of the ministry in charge of emergency management highlighted how this initiative has provided a durable solution to the refugee crisis.
First of all, they are given an opportunity to feel safety from the struggles that they went through in Libya. And then after, with the partners, with stakeholders, we start working on a durable solution. You know, they have three options. Most of them, they choose to continue their routes to a third country. They can also choose to stay here in Rwanda and integrate as a refugee. That is integrated in the Rwanda community. They can also, after, choose to go back in their countries of origin. So what we do is to facilitate that process to get to durable solutions.
The first group of 66 refugees and asylum seekers from Libya arrived in Rwanda on 26 September 2019. Since September 2019, more than 2,400 individuals have been received, and 1,851 among them were resettled to third countries, whereas Norway hosted 205, Sweden 254, France 163, Finland 205, Netherlands 52, Belgium hosted 72, and Germany hosted 10, while Canada received 588 and the United States of America hosted 302 refugees and asylum seekers. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for that report. Now, members of Parliament in the East African Legislative Assembly have exchanged ideas on establishing an investment bank that would empower citizens within the EAC to improve their livelihoods. The following report was filed by our colleague Eddie Sabit, who is in Kampala, Uganda, where the Assembly is gathered. Leading the group supporting the creation of this bank is Honorable Sulaiman Shabal, who noted that it would help attract investment, including joint public-private investments. This, he stated, would help bridge the funding gap for projects such as infrastructure development aimed at advancing the EAC's sustainable development goals.
There is no shortage of commercial and development banks in East Africa. Where the problem is that we need an institution that can help initiate or incubate investment projects. So, for example, the example that I gave is that there are many areas in East Africa which require power. Countries have always depended on foreign donors to come and help set up these power plants. But the challenge is not the power plant itself. There's enough money regionally for us to finance our own power projects. What is missing is the incubation capital, the money that is required to set up the studies, to take this from an idea into a bankable project.
Other members supporting this initiative, such as Honorable Francine Rutazana of Rwanda, acknowledged the existence of both the East African Development Bank and the Trade and Development Bank, which mainly focus on providing loans to implement projects. However, they point out the remaining obstacles and funding gaps.
The development banks, first of all, they don't go with the researchers to help those investors to know the viability of their programs. What they offer is just money, but the investment bank will come with the whole package for the investors to understand, to go through the process, to help them showing that the program will succeed, or there are some other areas they have to go together to improve before they get to the level of getting money.
Although this proposal was widely welcomed by members of the Ayala General Assembly, the final decision to establish this bank will be submitted to the EAC Heads of State Summit for a final ruling, as stipulated in the treaty establishing the East African Community. The Health Ministry here in Rwanda has urged medical professionals to be careful and abide by instructions against the encounter and spread of viruses. We have more on that with Prince Manzi.
The Gikondo Health Center in Kicukiro district outreaches to 87,000 patients from various regions. The health center has the consultation room, pharmacy and other parts. Patients are easily monitored. Ernest Kwitonda, a nurse at Gikondo Health Center, affirms that their priority is to prevent themselves and patients from diseases.
uburyo bwa mbere buriho bwo kwirinda n'undi mikorobe harimo gukaraba intoki.
We follow the usual procedures, including washing hands, wearing face masks, designated clothing. The laboratory services staff are to be extra careful because they take exams of these diseases. Residents say that their doctors are preventive even while taking care of patients. Most of us come here with various issues, including breathing issues and on skin issues, which are risks to doctors. If accounted, they can contaminate many patients, hence the need to be careful. We have to social distance for not spreading any forms of diseases. The health minister, Dr. Sabe Sanzimana, states that diseases can easily spread when health workers lack prevention measures. He adds that this is relevant to health workers, patients, and those who reach out to the hospital. At hospitals, we have restricted areas, and you find one enters without even being protected. The message of the ministry is that even if you are a doctor, you are not immune to spreading diseases. If you are to wear anything, be it a face mask or designated clothes, it is prohibited to enter without them. And as a patient, you have the right to ask why the doctor is not protected. The health ministry states that additional regulations currently exist regarding the prevention of infection and the spread of diseases, and they are continuing to be distributed among all medical professionals.
Prince Manzi with that report. Now, Innocent Gilbert Rugaba, who is 22 years old, has developed a device that prevents people from driving vehicles without a valid driver's license. He believes that if properly used, this technology can help to reduce the number of road accidents in the country. We have the details with Saula Sandra Tumukunde.
This young man has completed his studies at the Kalonji Volcano and Technical College. He created a technological system that prevents a driver from starting or driving a vehicle without the appropriate license for that category. Innocent Gilbert Rugamba explains how this technology works. When a driver starts a car, our device has a camera that detects if the individual has a driving permit valid for the car category they are driving. Once the verification process is done and everything is valid, then the car starts. If the device detects invalid permit for the car category, then it doesn't start. The system checks again in 10 minutes to avoid instances where some individuals may use other people to help them start the car. When the system detects that someone uses another to start the engine, it reports this information to police instantly. He also explains that he developed this technology with the aim of helping the public avoid accidents. The idea of this system comes as a solution to the challenge of people driving without license and end up causing accidents. This is a problem world over. This young man is asking the relevant authorities to help integrate this technology with the driver's license issuance system. I call upon the Rwandan government to support this project because it is among the key solutions to low accidents due to driving without license. Innocent Djibouti's technology could be one of the solutions and measures to reduce road accidents caused by people driving vehicles of various types without proper license. Saula Sandra Tumkund, RTV News.
The National Agricultural Export Development Board, that is NAEB, together with the project, has handed over 9 state-of-the-art refrigerated trucks to Rwandan horticulture exporters, that is. This is to help them to strengthen the cold chain and boost export quality as well as revenue. Sandra continues.
Some of the horticulture experts are very pleased with these refrigerated trucks, as they say that this is going to help them store their vegetables properly, which will also contribute to the development of agriculture.
So I think this is a very pivotal moment because cold chain has not been talked about often enough in Rwanda, in my opinion, because the biggest beneficiaries of this infrastructure is actually the smallholder farmers we work with. Currently, 20-25% of what is harvested is lost, and that's because there is no cold chain. But with this, what you find is then our export capacity increases because we lose less from the farm. So as a result, this is actually going to mean better revenues for farmers, better margins for exporters, and it's just something that, and most importantly, better quality. It's like having a tomato you leave on your shelf. That's different from having a tomato you put in your fridge. And this is literally what we're just doing today, actually bringing a fridge to the farmers. This industry, especially horticulture, is going to grow and grow and grow ahead.
Keisha Efeumu, U.S. ambassador's representative, stated that the United States government aims to support the Rwandan government in building a strong economy, enabling it to compete effectively in the international market.
We also celebrate our partnerships that made this a great achievement happen. Rwanda Ministry of Agriculture, Minister of Trade and Industry, National Agriculture Export Board, Horticulture Exports Association, and 9 private sector partners came together in partnership with the USAID-funded Feed the Future Rwanda Kungahara Wagura Amasoko to ensure that fresh, top-quality Rwandan produce can reach international markets and compete on the global stage. The United States believes that inclusive, sustainable, private sector-led growth empowers Rwandan businesses to expand their reach and sustain their presence in new markets.
This initiative aligns with NAEB's commitment to strengthening Rwanda's cold chain logistics, aiming to ensure that high-value horticulture products meet international quality standards and reach global markets in primo condition, as Claude Bizimana, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Agriculture Export Development Board, explained.
Exporters of agriculture produce have been growing for the last 6 to 7 years, especially exports of horticulture products. But one of the constraints that we've been facing in the sector is maintaining the cold chain from the farm up to the market. So today's event is a very big milestone in the agriculture export sector, simply because we've been able to hand over 14 trucks to 14 exporters who export fresh produce, and this will help collect produce from the farm up to pack houses here at Naeb. It's more about us supporting all the value chains, especially the perishable products. Talking about French bean, chilies, avocados. So we're here really to support all private sector investors to basically understand the rationale of maintaining the cold chain, right starting from the farm.
The trucks are now available to strengthen the cold chain for fresh produce, optimizing the logistics of transporting temperature-sensitive products and enhancing the competitiveness of Rwandan fresh produce on the international market. Saula Sandra, Tumkund, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Sandra. Now, the Ministry of Infrastructure here in Rwanda has announced that in order to accelerate the goal of providing 100% electricity access to all citizens, a new approach is being implemented which involves collaborating with local authorities. We have the details with Enola Gladys Benimana.
We found that the best way to provide infrastructure is by placing it near settlements. This can be related to providing electricity services to people, which is done in collaboration with local leaders and the branches of Rwanda Energy Group near them to ensure the process is as fast as possible.
As you just saw, that is part of the Africa Energy Expo that was concluded today, Wednesday. Our reporter also spoke to others at the event.
It was really great to see that there are so many stakeholders from all over Africa to come together here and to be able for us to talk to each other, to connect, and then to keep it as a starting point to continue the conversation. So it was really great to start a collaboration with all these people. But also it has been a very learnful conference altogether. There's some great panels happening on different topics that concern the African continent, and that was very interesting for us to attend to. One of the most discussed challenges surely is financing in the energy sector in Africa because of some challenges that are in the financial sector, but it also proves to be a challenge to be accepted by everyone and to be looked at with an Africa lens. So we can look at alternative models of financing and to be also to include innovation and be creative in this, so we can find the African solutions for African problems that we have, particularly in financing. And that is also then related to the growth, and because the one thing that we surely all agree on is the great potential that this continent holds in the energy sector, not only to be following the case of maybe other regions in the world, but to be an example, to be what we like to call that Africa can be a literal powerhouse for the world, and we have to dream big, and that way I truly believe that we can set an example and become not only to take care of the energy needs of the continent, but even to become exporters.
With 1.4 billion people, half of our population does not have access to reliable, sustainable, affordable, accessible power. Our goals are to explore groundbreaking solutions to extend electricity access to remote communities, leaving no one behind, powering the unreached. To unlock the potential of renewable energy by harnessing sources like solar, wind, and other clean energy sources to drive sustainable development. To build resilient infrastructure, we will discuss the imperative of investing in robust interconnected power grids to ensure reliable energy supply. Also to mobilize finance. As you may well all know, that the same way it is hard for project owners to find investors, that's also the same way it's hard for investors to find bankable projects. So we will explore innovative financing mechanisms to attract investment and accelerate Africa's energy transition. To also foster partnerships between governments and private sector and international organizations to drive sustainable energy solutions. Through insightful keynote addresses, panel discussions, presentations, and interactive fire chats, we will bring together leading experts, policymakers, and industry leaders to share knowledge, exchange ideas, and forge lasting relationships.
Delegates speaking at the just concluded Africa Energy Expo here in Kigali earlier today. Now, moving on to other matters, between 2020 and 2023, the rate of children registered within 30 days of birth here in Rwanda rose by as much as 26.7%. Adam Squizera with more.
Registering children directly at the hospital is one of the key factors contributing to the rise in timely birth registrations in official records. For parents, this improvement has reduced time spent seeking registration services at the sector offices. For the child to be registered from the hospital reduces time spent seeking such services at the sector offices.
Now, child registration program is done directly at the hospital.
Although the number of children registered within 30 days has increased, the Ministry of Local Governance has initiated plans to assist those who have not registered their children within this time frame. If a child goes unregistered for a year, a process has been put in place to ensure their right to registration. In such cases, the registration is handled by the sector's registrar officer. Dr. Inyas Kawano, an expert, explains the benefits of child registration for the country's economic planning. Children who are registered will now be ready for nursery school in 5 years, highlighting how crucial registration is for the country's education development planning. Figures from the National Institute of Statistics in April this year shows that timely child registration rose from 62% in 2020 to 88.7% in 2023. Adam Squizera, RwandaTV News.
Now over to the northern province, that is in Gakenke district, Rusasa sector, where local residents had been forced to walk long distances to access clean water, but that will no longer be the case soon because a 22-kilometer pipeline is being constructed. William Evans Mutabazi with more.
For long, residents of Gakenke have had to move long distances and sometimes down steep valleys to find water because of the nature of their landscape and the few water supply sources in their area. Sometimes we have to send school-going children to fetch water this far, and because of the long distances, some have ended up missing school.
Whenever possible, I make 2 trips down here to fetch water. And when I fail, I make sure I use water sparingly.
I stay up the hill and you cannot imagine what it feels like fetching water down the hill and having to go up with jerrycans of water, especially on rainy days. But now we are going to have easy access and we are happy about this development. The water line under construction will bring together 7 sources in Rusasa sector under one water collection tank of 200 cubic meters according to the project's technician. After we've tapped into the different sources, the water will be directed into one collection tank and a pump will be installed there to support in pumping the water out for residents to access easily. This project has not only solved water problems in the area, but also has created jobs for the residents who work on the water line. 67% of Rusasa sector have access to clean water, and local authorities are calling for proper usage and protection of such public facilities. You have noticed that some sources are being traced to at least have water reach different parts in our area, including the school in Murambi, different trading centers, and all our residents. We are positive that in a few days, this issue will be normal. This project is expected to be 100% complete by June next year. William Evans, Mutabazi, RwandaTV News.
Welcome back, and now let us take a look at news from elsewhere around the world. With Donald Trump returning to the White House for a second non-consecutive term in office as the President of the United States, many have been looking at how his past policies and current positions offer an insight into his upcoming presidency. We have the details with VOA.
It's official. 78-year-old Donald J. Trump, the former U.S. president, will once again occupy the White House as President of the United States. Like Grover Cleveland in the late 1800s, Trump will serve 2 non-consecutive terms in office as the 45th and the 47th U.S. president. To understand how a second Trump presidency could play out, it helps to look back at his first term in office and recent claims on the campaign trail. Immigration is a major theme for Trump, and his restrictive policies are tied to his nationalist America First views. Back in 2017, 7 days after he was sworn in, Trump imposed a 90-day travel ban, barring citizens of 7 Muslim-majority countries from entering the U.S.
I'm establishing new vetting measures to keep radical Islamic terrorists out of the United States of America. We don't want them here.
During this year's presidential campaign, Trump spoke forcefully about what he calls a migrant invasion, making border security a key electoral issue. He told supporters in North Carolina what he would say to Mexico's new president.
I'm going to inform her on day 1 or sooner that if they don't stop this onslaught of criminals and drugs coming into our country, I'm going to immediately impose a 25% tariff on everything they send in to the United States of America.
During his presidency, Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese imports and seems unlikely to change tactics this time around.
They've really been hurting us. It's so ridiculous. They end up closing, everybody loses their job, then they make it in their country, and then they send it back to us with no tax, no nothing. And we lose it. We lose the company, we lose the jobs, we lose sort of everything, and it's so stupid.
Trump pulled the U.S. out of the 2015 Paris Agreement, an international treaty tackling climate change, global warming, and greenhouse gas emissions.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
Trump says his energy policy will focus on increased domestic oil production and a rollback of environmental regulations.
We're going to, first day, first hour, we can do many things in the first, but first, we're going to drill, baby, drill.
In his second term as president, Trump is promising a more protectionist and isolationist approach than the last 4 years of President Joe Biden. Tina Trin, VOA News, New York.
Before we end this edition of the news, let us once again take a look at the headlines. President Paul Kagame has congratulated Donald Trump on his victory in the just concluded U.S. presidential elections. ALA members gathered in Kampala, Uganda, have supported the creation of an investment bank that would empower citizens within the EAC to improve their livelihoods. And as we just saw, with Donald Trump returning to the White House for a second non-consecutive term in office as the President of the United States, many have been looking at how his past policies and current positions offer an insight into his upcoming presidency. That's the news for now, but stay with Rwanda Television as the programs continue. I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.